9 seconds left to play.
Charles Haley has to be a happy guy, too. I mean, he's a guy who started this year with the 49ers. He's been to a couple Super Bowls with the 49ers. You know, this week, all the Cowboys wanted to see his Super Bowl rings, and he wouldn't show it to him. He said, I'm not going to show you mine. He said, go earn one.
When you get yours, you'll see what the Super Bowl rings look like, or when we get ours, I should say.
Yeah, he wasn't going to bring out any of his old rings to show these guys.
Pass incomplete. Intended for Sherrard. And there's the shark dance.
All he did was knock down the ball. The guy before him, though, Emmitt Smith, you have to give him so much credit that there was a point in this game where it had to be won, and they just gave the ball to Emmitt Smith, and he went out and did it. And I think the offensive line did an outstanding job. They softened everything up. The defense of Dave Wanstad, he gets to relax down there now. He's had the #1 defense all year. But doggone it, you've got to get to the Super Bowl, too, and they did that.
Ball goes out of bounds with no time left on the clock, and the Cowboys advance to the Super Bowl. They'll face the Buffalo Bills, who also came back from being way down. They did it this year. Did Buffalo. Dallas, well, they've achieved remarkable things.
And our congratulations to both teams, to the Cowboys for winning the championship here, for the Buffalo Bills for winning the AFC Championship.
Trophy presentation.
Jimmy Johnson is now letting himself have a relaxation and a smile.
Well deserved.
He said he wanted playmakers when he came in. He didn't have any speed. He said, I want playmakers. I don't want slugs. He has playmakers.
Once again, the final score here at Candlestick Park was Dallas 30, San Francisco 20. Stay tuned for the NFL Today postgame show. For the presentation of the George Halas Trophy and winning locker room interviews, the postgame show will be followed by 60 Minutes. You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.
When Ford refined the full-size car, we made its shape more aerodynamic, its V8 engine more powerful, and yet more efficient. We also added to its comfort and even its safety with available anti-lock brakes and dual airbags. But through it all, one thing about the Ford Crown Victoria has remained the same. It's still as quiet as a Rolls-Royce.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
If I want to keep playing baseball, I'm going to have to keep working. There's no off-season anymore. Every day it's just me and a pile of iron. Or a bike I ride forever. And when I get sore, I take Advil. It's strong, it works, and I know it helps. And Advil's gentler on my stomach than aspirin. To last as long as I have, you got to stick with what works. That's why I use Advil.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
This royal throne of kings, this earth of majesty, this little world.
United brings you non-stop service from 6 U.S. cities to London's Heathrow and the land of poets.
This earth, this realm, this England.
Come fly the friendly skies.
It's sad but true. It's an addiction that afflicts men everywhere about this time of year. It's called Monday Night Football withdrawal. It could happen to you or someone you love or used to love before football season began. Be safe. Seek the help of the following trained professionals.
Evening Shade, Hearts of Fire, Murphy Brown, Love and War, and Northern Exposure.
One look at CBS on Monday nights and you'll know why.
All those who love great comedy say aye.
Job seekers beware. It may be the dirtiest scam happening in America.
They promised me a $70,000 a year job.
Some placement firms are accused of charging big bucks for overseas jobs that may not be real.
So would you like to tell us about these jobs that you don't get for people? Well, what about the lawsuit?
Find out how to protect yourself from the charlatans and the classifieds. Read Between the Lies on the next Current Affair Extra.
Tonight at 11 on KELO-TV.
This NFC Championship Game edition of the NFL Today Post-Game Show is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
49er fans emptying out of Candlestick Park, and this is a live shot of the Dallas Cowboy locker room. Head coach Jimmy Johnson handing out congratulations. He said he'd get his guys to the Super Bowl in 5 years. He's a year ahead of schedule. The Cowboys with a 30-20 victory today over the San Francisco 49ers. We want to remind you that coming up tonight here on CBS, be sure to stay tuned for 60 Minutes with an update on the Iraq situation. That is next, except in the Mountain and Pacific time zones, where it will be seen at its regularly scheduled time. Then it's Murder, She Wrote, followed by the CBS Sunday movie, The Switch, starring Craig T. Nelson. That is coming up tonight on CBS. Welcome back to San Francisco, everyone, and to the NFL Today post-game show. Greg Gumbel along with Terry Bradshaw. So it is the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Unexpected on your part?
Yeah, I think so. I think you got to really understand the magnitude of this victory for the Cowboys to come out here and beat the 49ers. An experienced football team in playoff situations, a team that expected, and a team that entire seasons are measured strictly upon how many championships they win. So today, you'd have to look and say, this has been a failure.
I don't mean to put a damper on it, but no. But you understand, we do have one game left to play. Hey, fantastic. Every single one of you. I mean, I'm not just talking about these last 60 minutes. I'm talking about the quarterback schools, the mini camp, the off-season, the training camp, down in Austin when it was hot, you were tired, the whole bit. Everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys indeed? The Dallas Cowboys will be presented with the George S. Halas Trophy as champions of the NFC when we come back to Candlestick in just a moment.
How's that?
Great. I like to use the best one.
You got it.
I always tell my customers, be sure to take your credit card receipts. I should have listened to myself. The other day, I got a call from Citibank. Somebody charged some pretty fancy stuff on my card number. Citibank suspected fraud, but they said I wouldn't be responsible for the charges. I've seen Citibank look out for my customers. Seems they're also looking out for me.
Not just Visa, Citibank Visa. Why get an inferior shave when you could have the best? Why choose ordinary lubrication when you could have the richest? Why settle for average protection against razor irritation when you could have the most advanced, giving you the closest shave with less irritation? Edge Gel. Ultimate closeness. Ultimate comfort. That's the edge.
The Dallas Cowboys going to the Super Bowl for the first time since the 1978 season. And once again, a reminder, coming up next, the CBS News Magazine 60 Minutes. Tonight, an update on the Iraq situation, and when 1 out of 10 South Carolina legislators are convicted of bribery, that's a story for 60 Minutes. How did they get caught? Find out tonight. 60 Minutes is coming up next, except in the Pacific and Mountain time zones, where it'll be seen at its regularly scheduled time. Let's go to Lesley Visser now. Lesley.
Greg, they call it an orderly transition of power, and it didn't take place in Washington, but right here in San Francisco, where the torch has been passed to the men in silver and blue, among them Cowboy owner Jerry Jones and head coach Jimmy Johnson. To present the NFC Championship Trophy, let's welcome Neil Austrian, the president of the NFL. Neil.
Yep. Jerry, Jimmy, and the entire Cowboy organization, on behalf of the National Football League, it's really my great pleasure to present to you the George Halas Trophy for winning the NFC Conference Championship. You guys have done a heck of a job in building an organization from the time you took it over, and all I can say is, how about them Cowboys?
About them Cowboys. I want to thank every Dallas Cowboy fan there is. You deserve this football team. I'm just proud to be a part of the future of it. I can't thank Jimmy enough for all the work and the sacrifice. He's given everything he's got for us to be a winner.
Jerry, you told me in November that if you were going to the Super Bowl, you were going to extend an invitation to your friend from Arkansas, President Bill Clinton. Is that offer still good?
Well, I'd like to invite him to the Super Bowl. He's pretty busy this week, I understand, but I'm sure proud of it.
That he is. Congratulations to you, Jimmy. 54 draft choices, 45 trades later. You're on your way to the Super Bowl. What was key today?
Well, the key was just everybody in this room, everybody in the organization. Jerry talked about how hard we worked. It's how hard he worked, too. Yeah, it was a total commitment of the total organization. Everybody worked so hard. And that's what I told them after we came in here. The work they did in the off-season, the quarterback schools, the mini camps, the training camp, on and on. It was total commitment to get to be the very best, and we're one game away.
Congratulations to you 2 weeks ago. Back to you, Greg.
All right, Lesley, 30-20 the final score, and we'll be back with more on the NFL Today postgame show from Candlestick Park in just a moment.
People that first come to Subway are a little surprised we don't have sandwiches ready, just fresh bread. That's so you can see your sandwich being made and tell me if you like onions, tomatoes, or even hot peppers. I'm not a mind reader, and there's lots to choose from. If your sandwich looks as good as it tastes, that's because Subway has a training center where experts like Mr. Pilchin teaches the art of making beautiful sandwiches. He calls himself an art teacher. I guess that makes me a sandwich artist.
Ask a sandwich artist to make you a 6-inch meatball sub. Now it's just $1.69 at Subway.
Introducing Ford Taurus and the List. Quality, design, and safety are all at the top of our list, which is why we're at the top of this list. Ford Taurus, the best-selling car in America.
I had an awful cold. He said Summerall.
For 10 years, pharmacists have recommended one cold medicine the most.
I could barely breathe. He said Summerall.
12-hour-long prescription-strong Summerall.
I don't know what to take.
Take it from your pharmacist. Take Summerall.
Guess what motor oil gives you unbeatable wear protection? Give him a clue, Bert. Quaker State. What motor oil is unsurpassed in preventing sludge buildup?
Quaker State.
Now, guess what motor oil Bert uses?
Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
Good guess.
Why settle for average performance in a shave when you could have the superior performance of Edge Gel? Ultimate closeness, ultimate comfort. That's the Edge.
Both Visa and American Express Gold cards can get you to England for the golf vacation of your life.
Charlie, how did your yank do?
Well, we're up on the 9th, see, and he wants to be up in 2, so he pots everything he's got into the shop, including his new graphite driver.
But should you have a stroke of bad luck, only Visa Gold can get you back on course. Because Cape Cornwall's only pro shop doesn't take American Express.
Keep a grip on it.
Visa Gold. It's everywhere you want to be.
Murphy's invited to the presidential ball. Will the gang find her a last-minute date?
What's today's plan? Drive me to the nearest prison and see who's getting out on parole?
Murphy Brown. Then, Jack and Wally are staging Operation Cleanup.
Something growing in your apartment that's supposed to.
Love and War, Monday.
Welcome back to San Francisco. We remind you that 60 Minutes is coming up next, and we will have an update for you on the situation in Iraq. Here, the Dallas Cowboys have advanced to the Super Bowl with a 30-20 victory over the 49ers, who finished 15-3 on the year. Pat O'Brien is with Coach George Seifert. Pat?
And the interview no coach really wants to do. Congratulations on a great season, but you lost today. What happened?
Well, I just think Dallas played a heck of a ball game, particularly the second half of the game. I thought they executed their offense especially well. We couldn't really, it seemed like we couldn't make third down plays or a drive. There was a drive or two that they would continually make the third down play on us, and we weren't able to stop them. And really, they got too much of a cushion for us to catch up on.
A lot of respect for Emmitt Smith today as well.
Emmitt Smith, their whole team. I mean, their offensive line, their quarterbacking, I thought, and the play calling was particularly special. They're certainly a championship caliber team, and they should feel certainly proud of what they did.
Just curious, what do you say to your team now in a situation like this? You were just talking to them.
Yeah, well, I think the tough thing is you get to this point. It's so very difficult to get to this point. And then when you do, you lose the ball game. I think everybody just has to remind themselves that as long as you're in this business, you put yourself in that type of situation. Sometimes it's not always going to turn out well, and you just have to face up to it and be ready to come back again next time you have a chance.
Thanks for stopping by. See you next season. Thank you, Coach. Back to Lesley Visser in the Dallas Cowboy locker room. Lesley?
Pat, that, the Dallas Cowboys have won an all-expenses-paid trip to Pasadena, and these are two of the reasons why, offensively and defensively. First, Troy, congratulations to you. What was key today, and how about the game breaker to Alvin Harper?
Well, I think the big thing for us today was we were able to convert on third downs. Early on in the first half, we struggled a little bit. We were able to come out in the second half, and when we got opportunities, for the most part, we were able to take advantage of them, and that was converting the third downs.
Best of luck to you. And Ken, the defense isn't going to the Pro Bowl, but they are going to the Super Bowl. What about your interception?
Definitely was a big play for us. So we've been making turnovers all day. It was important for us to keep pumping it to the offense, let them put it in. It's also important for us to stop all their playmakers. Young and Rice and Taylor, they're great players, and we did a good job of containing them, and Young didn't run off on us.
Well, best of luck to you in 2 weeks. Back to you, Greg.
All right, Lesley, the Dallas Cowboys, all-time leaders in playoff games and playoff victories. A timeout here, and then more from Candlestick Park in just a moment.
Start saving $300 a month when you're 23, and you could retire a millionaire. Start at 30, and you might reach 600,000. At 40, about 200,000. Which is why you need Prudential's Financial Assessment Program. A personalized computer analysis of where you are, where you want to go, and how we can help. Because nobody plans to fail. They just fail to plan. Call Prudential Insurance now.
All 4 Escort LX models equipped with air conditioning, AM/FM stereo, power steering, and more. Now share the same low price of just $10,499. 4 Escorts, 1 price. It's that easy.
Guess what motor oil gives you unbeatable wear protection? Give them a clue, Bert. Quaker State. What motor oil is unsurpassed in preventing sludge buildup?
Quaker State.
Now, guess what motor oil Bert uses?
Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
Good guess.
You know the feeling.
Everything's pressure today. So I have more than just a headache. I have stomach upset at the same time. That's a sick-to-your-stomach headache.
Now there's relief for the sick-to-your-stomach headache. New Excedrin Dual with 2 medicines for dual relief. A maximum-strength aspirin-free pain reliever for headaches, plus a soothing antacid for stomach upset from acid indigestion.
Today's pressures are tough. So is Excedrin Dual.
New Excedrin Dual. Relief for the sick-to-your-stomach headache.
January, he was Mr. Right. February, Mr. Wrong. March, he's back. There's only one calling plan that adjusts with you. Off again, on again, never again. It's the most from Sprint. The most saves you on whomever you call the most each month. Even when it changes, it's automatic. Could be the easiest part of your relationship.
Guys with grass stains and blood stains and dirt all over their bodies, the all-Madden team, they're the best. Sunday on CBS. Hey, John, I'm a big fan.
He loved life until it became a nightmare.
I want to die.
Can one man give him a reason to live?
You got a story everybody wants to listen to.
The true life story, The Switch, tonight.
Back in Candlestick Park, the Dallas Cowboys winners over the 49ers. 60 minutes coming up next, except in the Mountain and Pacific time zones. For a final thought, let's go back upstairs to Pat Summerall and John Madden. Gentlemen.
Well, you know, John, you think back to the middle of this year, and you and I were talking, and we said, who's the best team so far we've seen? And we both agreed at that time San Francisco was one and Dallas was the other, and that's the way it wound up. That's rare.
You know, I think that was a great thing about this game is that you could see these two teams all year, that they were the best teams. They really hadn't played each other. The only way they were going to play each other was in a championship game. And the thing that I liked about it is weather was a part of it. The elements were part. The elements were here today, but the game wasn't lost or won because of the elements. And I think that George Toma and his staff did a great job with this football field. Then the Dallas Cowboys were able to go out there, especially in the second half, take control of the game and win the championship.
John, our last game, we've been together 12 years. Each year seems to get better. This one, I think, is on top. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and it's always a joy. I mean, you know, being with you and with these games, and I'll tell you, it doesn't get better than this.
That's so true. Back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, Pat and John, thanks very much. And we wrap up another season here, too. What are your thoughts on this game? This game was tied at 10-10 at halftime.
Yeah, you know, I think you saw the emergence of a young football team that became a very veteran football team in the second half today. I think when the Cowboys came in at halftime, Greg, they looked at themselves and said, hey, we're 10-10 with these guys. We can play with them. We're not dead. We're alive. In the second half, they elevated their play. Sets up a great Super Bowl. Buffalo with Thurman Thomas, a running back, Smith, the quarterbacks, Kelly and Aikman, #1 defense. And I think a key point today that George Seifert made, that third down conversions put his team out of the Super Bowl. Well, you look at the Cowboys, and their defense is the very best in the league at stopping teams on third down. Great matchup, explosive offense, should be a dandy.
It should indeed. Dallas and Buffalo in the Super Bowl, the Cowboys by virtue of their 30-20 victory here in San Francisco this afternoon. And that wraps up the NFL season for us here on CBS. We thank you for joining us. For Pat and Lesley and Terry and for all of us here at CBS Sports, I'm Greg Gumbel. 60 Minutes is coming up next on CBS.
When you look for champions, you look to CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's time to go play in the snow.
It's a shrine.